I'm not super religious, but when I was a kid, I used to go to Sunday school, and my cousin Pam, she was my teacher. One of the first lessons I ever learned was from the Gospel of John. The Pharisees, in an attempt to discredit Jesus, brought a woman charged with adultery before him, and these Pharisees, they wanted to execute her. And not only did they want to execute her, they wanted to do it in the most torturous way possible. They wanted to stone her to death. So a crowd gathered all around to kill this woman, and they all picked up rocks. Now, this is where I get a little weird. I always had this sick image in my head of guys stretching their arms and twisting their shoulders and getting ready to do this dark deed. But anyway, Jesus was there. And Jesus being Jesus, he didn't want to kill this woman over this sin. So instead, he issued everyone in the crowd a challenge. He said, "He that is without sin among you, let him cast the first stone at her." Now it's here when I imagine that the crowd got real awkward. Then they probably started mumbling among themselves, and one by one, as none of them were sinless, they walked away. Though I am sure there was at least one narcissist in the band who Jesus had to stare down real hard because he was still going to throw his rock. Anyway, the moral of this story is pretty obvious, and it is that all of us do bad things from time to time, and maybe, just maybe, we should ease up on our quickness to judge a little bit. But that's very interesting, at least to a person like me, because it always had me wondering, why do we all do bad things? Where does that darkness within us originate? Have you ever lied to get your way or to escape criticism? Have you ever taken joy in the suffering of another? Be honest. We have all done minor evils, small sins that we regret or that we don't. We are a little narcissistic, sometimes putting ourselves first, selfishly, because we're just feeling like no one else matters right now. We all have aspects of what is known as the dark triad personality. Now, I've talked about the dark triad personality on this channel before, but now I'm going into a little different take on it. I want to talk about how the dark triad personality manifests a little within all of us. Now, what is the dark triad? The dark triad isn't a group of supervillains plotting to take over the world. And if you want to know about the dangers of the dark triad, then go to my other video, aptly titled, The Dangers of the Dark Triad Personality. But for the sake of this video, I'll restate some of what I pointed out in that one. The dark triad is an intersection of the three most malevolent tendencies of human nature: psychopathy, narcissism, and Machiavellianism. But the truth goes deeper, and it's darker. There's also egoism, sadism, spitefulness, and a few more. You see, we as humans have a whole host of foul inclinations roiling around in those minds of ours. But the dark triad is at the core of human darkness. You see, back in 2018, psychologists from Germany and Denmark, they did this study where they mapped out the driving force behind all our darkest impulses, and then they gave it a name. They called it the dark factor of personality. Now, that's more than just a really cool sounding name. These researchers, they did a study on 2,500 people, surveyed these participants with questions designed to measure their levels of 9 distinct dark personality traits: egoism, Machiavellianism, moral disengagement, narcissism, psychological entitlement, psychopathy, sadism, self-interest, and spitefulness. Traits most of us consider to be fundamentally evil. And that's my word, not the researchers. So they asked all the participants in this study a wide range of dark statements, and I won't go into all of them. But the researchers, they ran a statistical analysis with all the results they got from people answering these questions about their dark traits. And what they found is that while all the dark traits were very distinct from each other, they did overlap somewhat and revealed themselves in very different ways in many different people. So we get narcissists, psychopaths, selfish pricks, liars, manipulators, sadists, the kinds that don't seek consent, and bullies. And so we have all these nasty little thoughts running around in our mind. I wonder if Stroke 9, that music group from a few years back, were thinking about that when they made their song. I don't know, but I do wonder, how dark is my mind? How dark is yours? Seeing that we all have these traits within us. We just learn to control them. Well, if you really want to know, you can take the dark factor test yourself. The team has set up an online portal where you can measure your own darkness score via a questionnaire, and then you can find out just how dark you are. Thank you for listening, and have a wise day.